Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Telling Tales on this lovely Wednesday evening. At least it is here. At least it's a Wednesday evening. I'm not qualified to speak about whether it's lovely or not. First of all, apologies for my incredibly low frame rate. I don't know why that's the case. I've literally just restarted my computer, which is why we're running a little late. But yeah, I'm not getting any connection issue or anything like that. So your guess is as good as mine. Perhaps my webcam is finally collapsing after a good 15 or so years of service. Maybe that's the case. Anyway, like I say, apologies. We'll just crack on. As we've been doing for the last few streams, I won't be going into big old detail about all of our links and stuff as I used to. If you check below the stream, you'll see all the links that you might expect. Have a browse of those if you're interested. That's all. Otherwise, we will start bringing on our lovely players, and we're going to start doing that with Chris, our traditional first player on. Chris plays Steo. He's a former infantryman, former town guard, turned grumpy adventurer. Chris, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, considering
gestures to everything. Yeah, absolutely. Chris, what is do you want me to ask you a question about you or about Steo?
Why don't you ask me a question about me? That'll be fun.
About you. All right. What's your favorite dinosaur?
Like a pterodactyl, but back in the old days when it was spelled with a T.
What?
Yeah, you know, before the incident.
Okay, I see. I mean, I'm not going to be one of those guys, Chris. But I hate to inform you that a pterodactyl is not a dinosaur.
Someone better come at me with some references because I am upset already.
If you want a
That's
reference,
how upset I am.
If you want a reference, type pterodactyl into your search engine of choice.
I can't. Since the incident, I can't spell it.
And look at your Wikipedia entry, and you will find, lo and behold, that it is not a dinosaur. I'm afraid.
But this has been a disaster, Matt. This is
certainly
an unmitigated disaster. Next player.
It's certainly dinosaur adjacent, so I won't ask for a replacement. All right, let's have the next player. The next player is Stephen. Stephen plays Alindra, former Templar, trainee Templar turned. I guess she's grumpy in a different kind of way, in a more violent kind of way. So she's also a grumpy adventurer, really.
Yeah. Jaded beyond her years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, Stephen, at the risk of courting more controversy, I'm going to ask you what your favorite dinosaur is.
I got you. It's Ankylosaurus.
Mate.
Like the best dinosaur.
The best dinosaur. Yeah. The best dinosaur. All right, everyone else is going to have a tough act to follow.
Streams saved.
Because Stephen got it right. That's the answer to the question. So there we go. And to celebrate, Stephen has immediately frozen. Maybe it's StreamYard, folks. Maybe there's a StreamYard issue. We'll find out as the stream moves forward. Okay, let's bring on Sam. Sam, who is also having cam problems tonight.
Yeah.
So Sam plays Askarai, Changeling, Ranger, Archer, Scout, Explorer, Raconteur. No, he's not that. How are you, Sam? And what is your favorite dinosaur?
I'm good. I don't think I really have a favorite dinosaur. I'm going to say Stegosaurus.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure it's a dinosaur, so I should at least beat Chris.
It is indeed a dinosaur.
Nice.
So Chris is now beaten. Sam has come in second place.
Yeah.
But we've got one more player. Will Chris be knocked off the podium entirely? There's got to be one person off the podium. There's 4 people, so we'll find that out. And on that note, let's bring in our final player, John. John plays Sir Arindar, last surviving noble son of House Dar, duelist, and a non-grumpy nice adventurer. And also, given how long it took that image to kind of depixelate a little on the screen, I would hazard a guess that many of the things that are going wrong tonight are, in fact, a StreamYard problem. But we will see, I suppose. John, how are you? And can you beat a non-existent, can you beat not a dinosaur with your favorite dinosaur?
I am doing fine. I would like to point out that no one has stipulated that I can't repeat something that's already been said, because I would have also said Ankylosaurus, but I would have said it wrong because I always thought it was Ankylosaurus.
I mean, it's effectively a word in a dead language. I'm sure there is a correct pronunciation of it in Latin, but
we just call it Anki in my house.
Fair enough.
I call it.
Are you sure you're not
big
jumping in there? Just because it's.
If you want a backup, I'll give you a Deinonychus.
John, that's my second favorite dinosaur. So, what can I say? I think John just picked ahead of Stephen there, because John's second backup choice was the right one as well. Stephen, what is your second favorite dinosaur?
Just
Stephen wasn't listening to John.
No, I'm trying to think of something good. I've got nothing. There's a Natural History Museum that is pronounced Tuwangosaurus, which is hilarious.
It is hilarious, but it does leave you with silver.
Okay, I can live with that.
But commiserations, Chris. Better luck next year at the Dinosaur Olympics. He is cursing us thoroughly off mic there.
So unhappy.
Well, if I ask you for your favorite dinosaur, you come at me with something that's not a dinosaur. I don't know that, some part of me indicates you weren't training for this. Not seriously. That's all. So maybe we should just think about that. Right. Let's move along from this engineered awkwardness and talk a bit about what happened in the last stream. So our adventurers are in the city of Indaros. There has been a major happening in the form of big meteors conjured by some kind of ritual magic slamming down on the Cathedral of Martyrs on the wedding rehearsal day of the Sun Duchess Esmeralda. You have become embroiled in this and are now essentially in the employ of Esmeralda in finding out how this has happened and who did it. There's a number of plot threads that you're chasing. One is to find out who seems to have been imprisoned underneath the Cathedral of Martyrs, who has now been sprung free. You're kind of following that trail. You're following the trail of a mysterious individual who was found in the rubble of the cathedral, who wasn't really meant to be there. You are probably at some point going to pick up the trail of the House Viara. Either was being set up to be involved or may have been involved, or some mixture of those things. Is there anything else? And I guess you're kind of looking at the ritual magic and how that might be achieved. Because I think we've had rumblings. I can't remember who had those rumblings. Have you had someone mention something about ritual magic to you? Like ritual magic on this scale?
I think the elf.
Yes, I think someone said it's banned.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yes, that's why I couldn't remember if you knew that. Yeah. So lots of questions there, all mixed in with a city on the edge, with curfew in place and all sorts of stuff like that. there we go. As far as what you actually got up to last time, you have engaged the prospective services of someone known as the King of the Dwarves. Well, you're not sure how accurate that is, and you have an appointment with that individual, I believe, tomorrow at noon or tomorrow afternoon, at the inn called the Depths of the Titans. And you also had made your way to the east of the city, to the slums near where the refugee camp is, and you had made your way to another tavern called Seeker's Fortune. Yes, the Seeker's Fortune, where you had found. Well, this was where the individual whose body you found in the rubble had been staying, and you found out a few pieces of information about them. And I will read them out to you to remind you, because I'm just that great. It was an individual who called himself Gander. He had arrived in the Seeker's Fortune about 10 days ago. He was a bit of a drinker, but could also be quite entertaining, and was known to pontificate about his secret and highly carnal relations with the Queen. Also, upon investigating his room, this was perhaps somewhat backed up by a pretty embarrassing sexual love note that John had to read out on stream, and also a copper goblet that seemed to have dried blood in it, which was a bit strange, a bit disturbing. I think, if I'm correct, that the timing of this, we are now mid-afternoon. So you still have capacity to go do other stuff before darkness falls. And I mean, the curfew's from midnight to 5 anyway, I think, right? So, yeah. Oh, and the only other thing from last time is you'd been informed by a town crier that, like, the city guard has had massive conscription to swell its ranks, and has also been given some fairly hefty emergency powers, which, I guess be careful. Yeah. We'd all gone to the Seeker's Fortune, right? But only a couple of us had gone up to the room. So I think it's fine now for those who've gone up to the room to come down. There's definitely nothing else to find there. And share information and decide what you're going to do next. Which means I can stop for a bit.
Just because, is it today that we're meant to meet the King of the Dwarves, or tomorrow?
Or is it today?
I think it's today.
We've made the arrangement with the docs yesterday.
Right.
And Marlo had met us first thing in the morning, so I think it's probably earlier than early afternoon.
You are right, and I think this was, you could make it here, and then you'd have to head off for the Depths of the Titans. You are 100% correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Good. Okay, with that in mind, then let's have you leave the Seeker's Fortune, and you can head over. And this is quite a way we're going here, I think. Let's just pop that lovely Indaros map up. We definitely, I think Depth of the Titans is like not far from the tower where you are currently staying, right? I think I'm right in saying that. It sounds right, even
I
if
think
it's
that's
not
what we
true.
figured last time.
Yeah.
Sort of north-ish from where we are.
Yeah.
The city's like more easty, westy.
Well,
it's northy, southy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the map. Not that particularly helps you folks. Let me part of the consequences of me restarting have meant that I don't have anything ready. And also it was useless because it didn't make my frame rate go up. So there we go. Depths of the Titans. Yeah. Depths of the Titans is very close to the tower. Very close to the tower. It's just a bit further and a bit more northerly. Which, of course, on this map means down. Because Fria Ligan are allergic to putting their maps with the cardinals pointing the right way. So there we go. Yeah, you make your trip across the city. Unless you're going to cause trouble in some fashion, trouble will not particularly come to you. and it takes you probably maybe an hour or so, I'd imagine, to travel across. You walk past the tower and you walk on to this inn called the Depth of the Titans. And as we are, I will just double check before I make something up. I will just double check that it's not one of the featured. It is. So here we go. Right next to one of the city's smallest sun temples stands the inn called the Depth of the Titans. And I'll give a bit of extra information because Arendar, you will be aware of this, having formerly lived in Indaros. It used to be a different inn called the Crown and Scepter, one of the most popular inns in Indaros, at least among those with limited means. But since it has changed owners, at least half its beds seem to be usually unoccupied, even though the food and service is still the same and the staff is entirely human. Many customers are put off when they learn that the place is now owned by the dwarven family of Volotsar. You do, however, arrive when you walk in, you enter essentially almost straight into a dining hall. And it seems to be one of the Bohemian Quarter's liveliest and most boisterous venues for food, drink, music, and song. It has a modest stage, which is currently graced by a group of bards, and it's generally quite raucous and quite lively. Although there are definitely a group of people near the bar who are kind of glancing over at the celebrations with a look of vague discomfort and disapproval, presumably because of recent events. However, you do notice, in keeping, Arendelle, with what you know of the place, that not many people are kind of moving in and out of the inn rooms at the back. So presumably people still do not particularly want to stay here, due to it being owned by a dwarven family. What are we going to do?
Pint.
Yes. I believe that we were supposed to just wait here. So I guess we'll find a table, right?
Yeah.
Is this table service territory, or will I head up to the bar?
It's a dining hall with entertainment. I think it's table service. Yeah. A short while after you sit down, a young woman with long blonde hair tied back in kind of a heavy braid comes over and asks you for your order with a kind of service industry smile, smile.
I'm getting
horrible tears on the inside.
Yeah, I'm getting TGI Fridays vibes from this place. I'll get I will order and pay for a brace of ales for everyone.
Okay. Fair enough. Are we having any discussion while we're here about the stuff we found in the Seeker's Fortune?
Presumably, Aaron and Ascarai have kind of shared what they found out there, and
yeah, I think so.
Either described or shown the note around and stuff.
I will silently pass around the note and not read it out. I'm going to say, canonically, read it out to Ascarai in the room.
Oh my god, this is Prios's teeth. Why would you write this?
On the plus side, I'm beginning to understand why Esmeralda denied all knowledge of this person. Either because she doesn't know, or because she absolutely doesn't want to be seen to know.
The thing, like what he's written, I mean, what he seemed to be talking about at that place seems like ridiculous, but we know that he did hang around, I don't know, high chieftains and princesses and queens. Like, I don't know quite what to make of this. It doesn't seem true, but also he's clearly mixed up in something very strange to have been there on this day.
If we're lucky, he's just a delusional person.
Alindra, when's the last time we were ever bloody lucky?
Well, yes.
So, if you think Esmeralda knew him, then I suppose there's still the question of what did she know him as? Did she know him as her cousin's sisters? Sisters. I've forgotten the relation between Esmeralda and the Queen.
They are half sisters.
Half sisters. Is it that she knew her as her half sister's embarrassing stalker, or that she recognized him from the palace?
I kind of feel like a stalker you would not be worried about pointing out. He's like, or, you know, kind of admitting to recognizing. I think if you were genuinely interested in what had gone on here, then if you found a weird family stalker there, you'd be like, I know this guy, he's a bit weird and like follows my half sister around or something like that. But denying she knows him makes it seem like there was something going on.
This is the Queen that we're talking about, though, right? Like, if Esmeralda knew him, regardless of the truth behind this kind of this story that he's painted, she wouldn't want that anywhere near the royal family. She's not going to casually discuss that with people that she's just met, even if they have rescued her from a meteorite.
But people that she'd then ask to investigate it?
Yeah, look,
she had to know that we'd come across something.
Yeah, I think the best answer is to ask her in private if we ever get the opportunity. I think we'll get the truth when she's not surrounded by guards.
We are going to have to figure out whether or not we speak to Marlowe about this. He in all respects, he's painted himself as her representative, but this is sensitive, to put it mildly.
I think we have to talk to Marla about it.
I certainly don't think we can. It doesn't make sense to hide it, but we may also need to give some assurances that we're going to be able to be discreet about this information, because at best it's embarrassing, and at worst it would threaten to overthrow the crown.
Well, you know me and trust issues, Alindra. Besides, what's like, all this can wait, because there's every chance this is just a weirdo in the wrong place at the wrong time. What's the plan for?
I think we'll need to treat it that way, unless we see otherwise. It's too implausible.
What's the plan for this flipping Dwarven king?
We wait.
So I'll shrug Arendar, because you're going to be doing the talking.
It was more of a stretch to gear myself up for a tactical discussion. I was thinking of going for the tack of there are individuals who may be undermining the position of dwarves in the city, and that would be bad for him. But I don't want it to come across as a threat, because that would be bad for me. And I also don't want there is always the risk that he may be involved, but we have to hope that he isn't. But I also think just asking him straight up for what we want isn't going to earn us anything, because
I think we at least have to pretend that we don't believe for a second that he could be involved. Right? We have to give him that.
I agree.
As you are saying this, a different individual comes over to the table, who you have basically emerged from a doorway behind the bar and came straight over to your table. A tall man who smiles at you mirthlessly and says, "Velat, sir?
Yes.
Come with me." He stands up and kind of walks out kind of a side door that seems to lead maybe to a courtyard.
I will follow. I will hope people are following behind me.
Mm-hmm. I'm right in saying that Revelia is back at the tower, right? You left her there to in case someone made some kind of contact.
No, I thought she was with us. The day one, she was recuperating under orders, but day two, I think she kind of forced herself into the.
Yeah, I think I decided that Revelia was probably well enough that she couldn't be persuaded to stay in the tower.
That's fair enough. That's absolutely fine.
Did we get around to finding another healer? Because we were talking about leaving the tower, finding a healer.
We've done that yet.
So. No.
Okay.
No. Okay, then the six of you in that case. The six of you walk, I assume, are walking out into the courtyard behind the man. In the courtyard is a rather large carriage with kind of a carriage with doors that have no windows. There's also a group of individuals who are relatively heavily armed, as heavily armed as yourselves, essentially, I suppose. Standing around, they are watching what is happening, but they're not like looming, but they're there and they're armed and they're observing what's happening. There are also a couple of kind of younger men, kind of like older stable boys, perhaps. And together with them, the man who came out to get you turns to you and is kind of holding a number of black hide bags, and he kind of holds one of them up in front of whoever of the first of you to follow him through the door was, and says, "I apologize, but this is necessary."
I see.
I don't think you do see, Aaron. That's the point.
He glances over at Theo and goes, and seeing as Arendar seemed to agree to it, quite gently places it over your head, and you feel like a drawstring close it just around your neck. And he said, you hear a muffled voice saying, "Not too tight, sir?"
No, perfectly fine. You'll have to guide me towards the door.
"Of course, sir." You hear the click of the door of it opening, and he kind of like guides you up into the carriage and sits you down. They follow the process for each and every one of you, unless one of you is going to somehow object or fight back or try and argue them out of it in some way. Nope. No, that's fair. You all find yourself sat in a carriage. There's actually quite a bit of room in here for three people on. You know how a carriage is set up. There's three of you on one side and three on the other, but there's plenty of room. You're kind of shoulder to shoulder, but you're perfectly fine. You can't see anything. These are very thick, woven kind of hide bags. It's quite uncomfortable, quite warm. There we go. With a jolt, the carriage kind of bounces over a rock or something, and you can feel it moving through the city, kind of like, jostling on the cobblestones. You can speak to each other, but if you do, please put your hand over your mouth as you do so.
Who am I sitting next to? Come on, own up.
It's up to you guys.
I'll give Steo a thump in the leg. It's me.
Ouch.
It's me.
Deeply uncalled for.
It's because you know what direction.
I'm by the wall, so
Did you hear if they locked the door behind you?
behind me. I'll feel around the inside to, I don't know, try and find some cup holders or something.
If you are feeling for whether the door opens at all, it does appear to be sealed or locked in some fashion.
Door's locked. Maybe we walked into a trap, but this is kind of a fun way to die.
I think if you're visiting royalty, you do it on their terms.
In fairness. Ascari, are you still alive?
Sam, you're wearing a mask. Can you take both hands and pressure put them over your nose?
I'm alive for now.
What? What?
Oh, yeah, I'm alive for now.
He says he's alive for now.
Oh, you have to laugh, otherwise you'd cry.
Excellent. Someone at the beginning mentioned, I don't know if maybe I didn't get the right of it, or maybe it was just a passing question. Someone mentioned something about direction, or what way we go. Is that a serious thing that someone would be trying to actually figure out?
Ascari did not mention it, but he would be trying to figure it out.
I feel like you would. Yeah, I feel like you would. And I'll also give you less of a penalty than I would for the others.
Ascari also has a good senses for this thing in Pathfinder, but he also has Sixth Sense as like one of my main abilities, which is not quite this, but is similar to this. Like I think it lets you navigate in the dark and like that kind of thing. But
what's the actual wording on it?
Let me have a look. I
could try and bring it up here.
Sixth Sense. When moving through dark forests and underground tunnels, one's eyes are no longer very useful. The explorer had better learn to rely on his other senses. The Sixth Sense ability provides the character with unique capabilities when fighting at distance or in situations where eyesight can no longer be trusted. A character with Sixth Sense may, under calm circumstances, navigate unhindered in dim light, as well as maintain a sense of direction in complete darkness. So at a pace of only a quarter of its normal daytime speed.
I think that's pretty bloody good. And what I'm going to ask for, I'm going to ask you for a vigilant roll, but that's to determine how much of a buff you get on the actual roll.
Okay.
Like I'm going to give you a chunk of a buff just for Sixth Sense, and then let's see if you can pick up on some, audio cues and stuff like that. So
okay.
Why don't you? Of course, then you've got to communicate it to the others with your hands over your mouth. So
that is a 16 on vigilance, which just passes because I have slightly better vigilance.
Okay. Then you know what? Give me a cunning roll at +5.
Okay. Cunning is 10. Yes. That's a 4, so it makes it.
You are almost certain. You are dead certain you're heading east. Would it be east? No, west. You're dead certain that you're heading west, presumably towards the western edge of the city. And your suspicions are confirmed in this when, in about 10 minutes' time, the cobblestones stop. And you're moving over uneven ground, but not like quite, you'd estimate quite well-traveled uneven ground. So presumably you are on one of the roads heading out to the west of the city, into the countryside.
Okay. I will.
Yeah. I want to see if they think they can understand you.
We're heading out of the west of the city, I think. Somewhere, a well-traveled path.
I have a weird question, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Do we think that witch sight requires sight in order to get vibes from a place? I'm not specifically looking for a description, but more like, can I get enough of a sense that if I came back here, I could kind of recognize?
I think that you could use witch. I think yes, but I'd give you a penalty for it.
Okay.
Like if you haven't seen a place, like I definitely give you a penalty for it on a witch site roll, but like, yeah.
Cool. What sort of penalty are we talking?
Probably a significant, but not humongous. What, like a -3 or something like that?
Okay. So I think I need a 1 or a 2 on a roll because the heavy armor gets in the way as well. But we'll try it. I got a 2.
That's great, but what are you witch sighting for?
Place, basically. I'm trying to get.
You're currently on a fast-moving carriage. You're not really going to be able to get any sense of witch sight.
Okay.
Because as soon as you can feel out of place, you passed it.
Fine. Okay.
You know what I mean? However,
yeah.
I'm happy for you to use that roll for when you stop.
Okay, sure.
Because I'm kind and you rolled a 2.
Yeah. The priority would be the place that we arrive at, and if it was able to get anything on the way, then that'd be great.
Yeah, too. I don't think witch sight can be like a magical tracking tool. That's very outside of its remit. So
that's fine. Yeah.
But when you get to somewhere to see if you can like get a sense of the place, and then maybe if you're in the same place again, you might be able to recognize it. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Okay.
I have a question for something Aaron would have been trying to pay attention to.
Yeah.
When the bag was put over my head and the strings were drawn, were they knotted in any way, or was it just like, okay? That's fine.
Okay. After an amount of, you know what? It's pretty difficult to track time under these hoods. Why don't you all give me a cunning roll at -2 to try and detect how long it is before the carriage stops? That's a thumbs up from Steve, thumbs up from Alindra, thumbs up from Andar. Doesn't really matter if Askar makes it, I guess. That was a cunning roll in case you stepped away, Sam.
I did
-2.
make it.
Okay. Well, then you can all tell that about half an hour after the carriage first rattled itself into motion, it slowly comes to a stop. Elindra, your witch sight of kind of where you are, the area you're in. Obviously, I can't give you sight stuff, but vibes-wise, I'm going to say it's completely unremarkable.
Cool.
You feel nothing about the sense of like the play. You know what I mean? Because witch sight only really detects like, I guess, corruption mainly, but also just unusual like emotive qualities to a place, right? Like
it's pretty vibesy. I don't know if like to what extent Alindra can recognize shadows anyway, but
like to like, I mean, this is information in that you're not anywhere that seems to have any particular significance, perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if nothing else, that's mild reassurance.
Yes. You hear the door to the carriage open. You hear a number of kind of footsteps, and then one by one, your hoods, kind of the knots at your necks are. In fact, probably like one person on each side, so 2 at a time. Your bags are drawn from your heads. And you see that between your seats is a well-dressed dwarven gentleman standing on the floor between the bench seats. Quite quickly, the carriage shutters, the shutters are already closed, but the doors are closed and everything is just lit by the faint light of a swaying oil lamp. And that is the gentleman. He sketches a quick nod and says, "To what do I owe the pleasure of this meeting, heroes of Thistlehold?" He speaks very odd, stilted, and quite heavily accented Ambrian. But it is good.
I will give as much as a bow as I can from a seating position and say, Patriarch, thank you very much for the honor of meeting you.
It is welcome. I am a busy businessman.
Of course. I will try to waste as little of your time as I can. We were hoping for, I suppose, some assistance that may be mutually beneficial.
He
We are
gestures for you to continue.
hoping to discover the location of Plob 17.
Hmm. Why?
We believe some individuals may be hiding there that were related to the events at the cathedral the other day.
Hmm.
Considering the state of the city and the powers given to the city guard, I believe it is important for us to locate these individuals before more reckless entities become aware of dwarven involvement. I swear, Patriarch, I'm not saying this as a threat. I do not want any harm to come to anyone who does not deserve it. And I hope that you could help us avoid trouble.
But if my people are to be found guilty of involvement, you would deliver harm, as is just by the laws of your queen, our queen.
We would seek to undo any harm that has been carried out, to return any individuals who have been taken.
And you would, if necessary, use violence to achieve this goal, as would be your right by the laws of the queen.
If we had to, but if there were an alternate,
I agree. I will give you this information in return for a favor. No specific favor. This is the way of my people. He reaches down into his elaborately made garments and holds out what looks to be a coin to you. Not an Ambrian coin, but instead a red coin around the size of a palm, so quite large. On one side of the coin are two steel-clad fists shaking hands, and on the other is a stylized noose. You can see this because he holds first the one side to you and then flicks it round in his fingers to show the other. This is called a blood coin. We have an understanding on this significance, yes.
yes, I believe so.
Crude imagery makes it easy to understand. He proffers it to you and says, "One day I shall ask you for the return of this coin, and in that process you will release your debt to me with a favor."
I will look around the group. Is it understood that we are taking this debt as a group?
It is.
And if everyone nods at me or says anything,
I think everyone has nodded.
then I will take the coin.
Plob 17 is located deep in Newtown, near the riverbank. It is a narrow underpass from Cross Street. It opens inside into 3 small courtyards. The middle one has no roof, like a shaft to the sky. The doors on the street will be guarded. The roof may be guarded. You may have to be enterprising.
Thank you.
You should find it with little problem. I wish you well in your endeavors. A tragedy for the city is a tragedy for all, and the laws must be followed. Is our business concluded?
It is from us, Patriarch.
My men will put your hoods back on. Apologies for inconvenience.
It is understood. Thank you.
He nods and raps on the door once. It opens, and quickly the process is carried out in reverse of his entrance. He steps out. At no point have you had a good look outside. Like the door is cracked and closed very quickly. Daylight comes through, and you get like a faint whiff of kind of countryside odors of, plants, flowers, maybe some manure, but otherwise nothing significant. The hoods are placed back on. The oil lamp in the center of the kind of carriage is doused. The doors are closed and the carriage sets off again. Are we talking on the way back, or are we waiting until we've been returned?
Point.
Is the pint in question going to happen at the depth of the Titans? Because that is where you are returned to, directly to the same side yard.
I think we should head somewhere we're less likely to be spied upon.
Okay.
All right, Ascribe.
You can go back to you can go back to the tower and get your drink and food for free if you want.
I mean, I appreciate the sentiment, Ascribe, but given everyone in this bloody city knows who we are, I'm starting to think it might be a fool's errand.
I don't think we're going to avoid being detected as who we are. I just feel like we may want to say things that we don't want people to hear.
Well, we've some other business in the. It's still pretty early. Can we could get to the mages today if we just go and find a bar near there?
I mean, if the Plob 17 is where he said, you could get to it quite quickly from where you are now. Or from the tower, for that matter, if you wanted to go back there instead, and then move on from there. If we take a look at here, actually, you know what? This is a better example for this purpose, I think. So for context, so that's an actual cardinal direction map. So obviously you've just come in from the west entrance there. I would say, where is depth of the Titans in this analogy? I would say that the depth of the Titans is just about in the northern artisans district, which is where you've been returned to, and the tower is a little bit to the east and south in the harbour district. As you can see, Newtown is not very far away, so you could absolutely. It's probably like maybe 3 or 4 in the afternoon now. You could almost certainly head there if that's what you wanted to do, and with time to spare, you could go back and plot a bit at the tower and head there. It's up to you. Or obviously, you can. Yeah, you want to talk to the mages. You wanted to do a number of. There's all sorts of plot threads to be followed. Shall we just say you go back to was the idea to go back to the tower first?
Yeah, maybe regroup at the tower and get a drink and then figure out.
Okay, you're sat around your table in the tower. You've had food and drink brought to you. I hand it over to you.
Oh, that was a very expensive coin we just got handed.
Yeah, it kind of feels like we've just gotten involved with the same sort of shit, but with extra steps. We're probably going to end up burning down a warehouse anyway.
Well, I think we knew that was going to be the price, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. This is one hell of a damsel to save.
I mean, for what it's worth, and this is like information passed you via Aaron's brain, essentially. For what it's worth, you can't be sure that Patriarch Velotzar does not actually has clean hands. Like, he's seen as the head dwarf of the city, and an awful lot of the dwarves of the city are involved in organized crime. But he's certainly a more legitimate public figure than the manager of the baths who runs an actual criminal gang. So, yeah, maybe he does want you to do dirty work, or maybe he wants you to turn up somewhere and be like, look, I know you know what I mean? Like,
I know the heroes of Thistlehold.
Right, exactly.
I'm a legitimate businessman.
You don't know.
If we have to get involved in crime as a result of the blood coin, at least it's not time-limited crime in a city under martial law. It's presumably future crime and possibly not crime.
The way he talks about it made it not sound particularly imminent, for sure.
There's also a question of, well, I suppose this is entirely down to him and his rationalizing, but there's a question of severity, right? We sort of know how bad the burning down the warehouse was, but
yeah, but I think what he knows and what we don't is who's in that plob.
But my thing is more, he seemed like a man who might weigh the favor that he asks against the favor that he gave. This coin may have different exchange rates for different people, kind of thing.
I mean,
maybe
presumably not. Grimorio did the same, but we took the coin.
Yeah, we've got it.
That's a future problem. I think we need to make use of the information that we bought with it.
Yeah, and we're on the clock. So we're going in on the roof, yeah?
Can we just take a look at the place first and see? It sounds like there's guards all over the place, and I don't quite know where we're going once we get there.
I suppose it depends what kind of guards they are. We've got that seal of the Duchess. If they're like town guards, which they're probably not, but if they are, could get us in.
Oh, we've been warned about the town guards, though, haven't we? Especially the new ones, the sellswords.
I think we could go and have a look. Not worth planning until we see what we're up against.
Okay. Yeah, do you know what? That's a good point. God. Arendar, with the greatest respect, I hope we never have to come back here.
I felt the same.
So is there any further plotting we want to do? I know we obviously mentioned the mages. There's Viara hanging over us, and there's One thing we haven't mentioned, and I just want to throw it out there because it's a thread we just followed a bit, is obviously we're like talking about, do we mention what we found out about this guy to Marlowe or the Sun Duchess? Like, you have found that he went by a name, and you know that he was either an unofficial or he had some place in the court of Tharaban. It's not outside the realms of possibility that you can ID this guy by going to the right person and asking questions. I'm just going to put that out there.
Out of the barbarian entourage.
Maybe barbarians would know. Maybe you have the Esmeralda did say access the Secretorium if you need. I mean, it does obviously mean someone notes that you ask that question, but like, there may be any number of people. The Hall of Knights, if you think that there's a possibility they were a noble.
I did raise that, but if all we have is Gander and we couldn't find any sign of any arms or anything, but
you do know that this person, that seems an unusual thing. My point is my point, right? It's an unusual place for him to have been.
Quick point of request for an update. We had the one key, which was the key to his room. We didn't. I recall. Is there a separate key that I wanted to ID, or is that we're sorted?
No, that was the one. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the only business we have at the Secretariat is that one thing. Where
is where you want to go? Yeah.
Yeah, where is that? I suppose it's going to be up towards
I think the Secretorium is. Yeah, I think it's near the palace. Let me just double check, but I'm fairly sure that it is.
So back in character for a second. If we're on the clock here, but I starting to get the feeling that this stuff should be done a little later in the afternoon, and we do still have the matter of calling into the mages, going to see the Ordo.
Because that was last discussed last session, what was the reason for the Ordo? Just to ask them about the people in the Ordo robes with the House Viara symbols.
And wasn't the last words of the Ordo Archmage something quite important that we might want to bring up to them?
Yeah.
He seemed to have some guilt over what was happening and claimed that the person responsible was called Artel, which is a name that Steo half remembered, but not entirely.
I just think it might be, if we can spare the time, worthwhile getting that information before we go in with blades drawn.
Oh. Because the person that we may be looking for in Plub 17 may well be Artel, and given what the Master said, might be something that we need to be prepared for.
Yeah.
You make an extremely good point, Steve.
Plus, in fairness, I'm pretty sure at this stage we're back on the Ordo's good side. I have a funny feeling they owe us at least a little bit.
I mean, Thistlehold. Well, the Ordo in Thistlehold definitely thought they didn't owe you anything anymore. And this is the Ordo in Inderos, so I don't know about that, but there's only one way to find out.
And is it Furiosa or Furia?
Furia and Ganderald are both here.
Yeah, we call in. We can get a hold of Ganderald. Ganderald can get a hold of Furia. At least Furia's ear might be worth pulling on in this situation. Although our esteemed friend, mentioned there's probably going to be a bit of politics going on in the towers as well. I still think this is worth a trip if we have a moment to spare for it.
I'm inclined to agree. Given the forces that were used to break out who we presume is Artel. Artel themselves might well be someone that we don't want to meet without knowing what we're getting into.
Is there a reason we're assuming it's Artel being broken out? Seldonio said that Artel had done it.
Did he?
Yeah. That's what
okay.
he thought. Yeah,
Artel was the perpetrator. I think it's ambiguous from what he said, to be honest.
I guess that there's definitely a
makes
certain
sense.
level of ambiguity, but like
Well, okay, so either as the kidnapper or the kidnappee,
sure, yeah.
Artel, whoever that is likely to be in Plub 17. And
His exact words were Artel. It was Artel, his revenge, which I don't know. Like, but I mean, yeah, maybe. It's all very vague.
Yeah, my first instinct is that we don't know how much time we have and we need to get there as soon as possible, but I think we do need to be prepared for what we find there.
I just worry that in getting this information, we're going to miss our opportunity to actually catch this person, whoever it is, before they get out of the city. Once they're out of the city,
Ascry, the last time I went into a place not knowing what was behind the door, you shot me in the head. So,
well, I won't do that again, hopefully. But I don't think that is a good argument against trying it this time.
and you know, default position is that information is the most valuable thing. Trust me, I've fought a war.
I mean, to be fair, swinging by the triple towers will not it's not gonna spend probably more than half an hour to an hour of your time. So
could we send someone? It sounds like this Plub 17 has a main. I don't know how plobs work, but there may be one entrance or exit to this place. Perhaps we can send someone to watch over it to see who goes in or out, gather some information while most of us go to get the bit of info from the tower.
I believe the Patriarch said there were 2 doors, and he also alluded to the roof having an entrance.
2 doors,
Well,
3 courtyards.
Ascry, loath though I am to continue to rely on your talents, casing the joint seems to be your specialty. And you have the least business with the Ordo, I think. Plus, they always go doolally over your fancy cloak.
True. I don't want any more harsh negotiations trying to steal my cloak. Maybe if there's 2 entrances, maybe me and Anton can go try and keep a watch over these entrances, case the joint, and when you arrive, we'll figure things out.
That seems reasonable.
If there's any way for you to get eyes on the roof, don't waste them.
Okay, we'll give it a go.
Got a quick. I don't usually address questions in chat, but it is confusing, and we're probably about to say the word plob an awful lot. So 42. What's a plob is a very good question. It's a dwarven word for essentially like an underpass or a tunnel underneath something. And we've been trying to find Plob 17. First of all, we had to find out what Plob meant, and then we had to find out what Plob 17 is. And it's like a dwarven term for an underground passageway between 2 points.
And it's where we think that some people connected to the attack on the cathedral have taken someone or something that was
the prisoner, or someone who was referred to as a prisoner, right? So we'll see. Okay. Well, I think what we'll do first. Well, Chris has stepped away for a moment, so actually, I was going to say we'll do the triple tower scene first, but actually, let's do casing the joint first, because then Chris can be here for the audio bit. So, Sam, you travel through the city, through the Artisans' Quarter, and then through Newtown. As the name suggests, it is the kind of relatively new part of town with a lot of fancier, newer buildings. It seems fairly affluent and bustling from what you can see. And it doesn't take you too long because the Patriarch said it was near the riverbank. He said it was off on a place called Cross Street. And as you're traveling along Cross Street along with Anton, you do glance over and see somewhere that looks like it probably matches the description he gave. It is actually a series of tall Ambrian buildings. There are 3 of them that are tall and alongside each other. It looks like perhaps they have like relatively nice apartment housing, and like there's some shops at the base of them and so on and so forth, but it kind of matches the description he gave. Also, you notice that there's you know how in a lot of like older towns or towns built on an older foundation, there'll be like a layer of floors below the street, kind of like, you know, a dug area, like a basement section. There's one of those, and between two of the buildings in that row, down in that basement section, there is a large wood gate braced with metal, and in front of it are standing two dwarves. They are idly watching people going past. They are not armed that you can see, but they have the stance and casual alertness to them of a guard to you. Now, if the Patriarch's information was correct, what you'll have is another doorway on the far side of this passageway. So that would be on the next street over, you would imagine.
Okay.
And you can see the roof. It's like 3 floors up from the street. So it's a bit of a climb. You don't see anywhere immediately where climbing up would be made massively easy, but presumably there is likely, for maintenance purposes if nothing else, to be at some point a ladder, or at the very least some like handholds for someone to free climb up to the roof, because it looks like a fancy enough building that people would want to take care of it.
Okay.
But that's going to be a bit of a, you know, you're going to have to do a circuit and take a look at stuff.
Mm.
So in order to do that, why don't you take yourself off to one side and do a vigilant roll for you and Anton, and while you're doing that, we'll hop back over to the rest of the party who are walking towards the Triple Towers. It is a large and elaborate building, as you might imagine. The 3 towers that is named, like it is named for, are in close proximity to each other, almost touching each other, in fact. One of them is set a little bit aside from the other, so it's like a kind of dual tower, and then another one very short distance away to one side, forming a kind of like tight triangle. And around that, for quite some way, I think I may have described it a little bit before when Alindra went to kind of try and chase up Furia. There's quite large grounds that are mostly, it's like kind of parkland, right? Not massively fancy parkland, but you can, like, you know, there are a few trees dotted around. Maybe it's where the wizards, you know, take their lunchtime stroll or something. You're not sure. Those parklands look empty. There's no one in them. The entire thing is ringed with quite a high metal fence, and there is like a guardhouse at the front, which is where you were before. And there are a number of individuals there. There's more than the first time you were there, Alindra. There are now probably about 12 guards. They don't look to be Ordo. They look to be either employees of the Ordo or hired in. In fact, a few of them do look a bit rougher than you might expect as employed guards. So they're probably mercenaries who've been drafted in. There is one wizard with them, stood there idly chatting to them and kind of looking out on the thing, and every now and then sending like a glance over her shoulder back at the Triple Towers in a kind of, I don't want to be here, I want to be there kind of way. There you go.
We kind of say to the others, like, if there was a time to be using those seals, it might be now.
Well, let's see how far we can get with asking nicely.
Just, we have them.
I think I'll go up Gardo a Gardo and probably clock the most senior looking one and see if I can ask him. You're on mute, by the way.
Been a while. As you kind of walk up to the guards in this fashion, one of them kind of glances over to the order member in her robes and raises his eyebrows. She takes a couple of steps forward and says, "No visitors today, please, my good man. The order is in mourning for the loss of our Grandmaster, and a great deal of talking and sharing common grief and good wishes is occurring within the towers. We really do not have any time for visitors, I am afraid."
I understand. Is there an opportunity to pass a message, as we are on some quite serious business?
I'll be honest with you, that entirely depends who you're intending to pass a message to.
Well, may we start with a novice and see how we get on with that? Wouldn't be a novice at this stage.
Ganderald is an adept.
Yeah. Can we start with an adept by the name of Ganderald? And if he isn't available, we can ask higher.
You know, you have a very good chance of me being able to speak to Ganderald for you. Yes.
Perfect.
There are very few names you could give me where I would say that is the case, but this is one of them. What is your message?
Oh, I suppose. Could you let him know that the heroes of the sinkhole would like to speak to him, but say heroes of the sinkhole with as much disdain as you can manage. That way he'll know it's an authentic message.
Oh, I see. Well, yes. Do you wish to wait for a return message? Maybe some time.
Fingers crossed. I hope he would accompany you, but yes, I think we will wait. We can't stay here forever, unfortunately. So if we are gone by the time you get back, understand that is no slight. We will return in hopefully better times.
Very well. Sorry, Stephen.
I was going to say, tell him that it's relating to the circumstances around Saldonio's death.
I see. May I ask why?
I was with Saldonio.
I see. That is interesting.
Quickly would be better. Thank you.
All right. I am not a servant. I'm an adept of the order. She's turned around and is walking away, slightly in a huff at that.
Sorry, just yeah.
It takes probably about 5 minutes to walk to the towers. Like that, it's a significant distance. They're very tall buildings, and you can see her do that. And then, how long? I'll just ask, how long will you wait? I'm not saying nothing's going to happen. I'm saying, how long would you be there before you give up and fuck off? So I know it's
certainly no less than 15 minutes, but probably a while longer as well. Depends on how much fun we can have.
I was thinking of reconsidering our position at 30 minutes.
Okay, that's all fine. That's all fine. About 15 minutes after she first departed, you see two figures emerge from the Triple Towers. One of them is walking towards the gate at a fairly measured pace, and the other one with a much faster stride that quickly outpaces the other one. And you recognize after a couple of minutes that Ganderald is heading to the gatehouse. He walks kind of out of the gatehouse and says, Of course, as we agreed upon, that you wanted to me to give you a guide to just over there, yes?" And he walks past you and starts heading down the street. Come on.
Yep.
Let's go.
Follow along.
Good.
He walks basically around a corner to be out of view and kind of looks around. You're getting into definitely a fancier area of the city here, right? It's sort of the temple, where is the temple district. So there's actually, you can see some manor houses just up the street from where you are. And he picks a little quiet part in what's sort of like a folly at the end of the street that maybe people can lounge in and sit in on a warm day and get some shade. And he just kind of lurches into it and turns around and goes, "It is a shit storm in there.
It's good to see you too.
3 Ordo Masters have died since yesterday.
Tell me Fury is still alive, for God's sake.
I would assume so. I haven't seen him in quite some time. But the amount of fairly vicious politicking that is happening, all I can say is I'm having no part of it. I'm only an adept besides. But it is eye-opening.
Well, look, we're glad we can see you, because it means at least we can skip the pretense of having to waft around the issues at hand. Elindra, do you want to just tell the man?
Of course. I was with Saldonio when he died. I was trying to save him.
You were there.
Yes.
Of course you were there. Of course you were there. Why would you not be there?
Yeah, look, just don't even.
This luck seems to follow us wherever we go, Gandalf. We have been tasked by the Duchess, who we rescued from there, with investigating some of the circumstances surrounding what happened. And some of that relates to Gandalf.
Gandalf?
Wrong wizard, Saldonio. I don't know where the hell that came from. That's my cat.
Gandalf, your cousin. Gandalf, your cousin Gandalf.
Sorry. Some of that relates to what Saldonio has said to us. We need to understand. I'm going to try and find what he said. He talked about a prisoner. We saw what could be described as a prison cell underneath the cathedral.
Could also be described as a very nice apartment.
He said that someone is free. He talked about the eternal night. He talked about someone called Artel and his revenge, and asked me to promise that we would stop them, whoever they are. We have leads in trying to track this prisoner, and we would like to know what we're about to walk into.
I mean, I I don't know anything about a prisoner, but you're sure it was Artel?
That was the name.
There is only one Artel I know of who was associated with Grandmaster Saldonio. Artel Vareo, an Order Master in the war, later known as Artel the Vile, on account of his involvement in the catastrophe at Harras. These names are dredging things up for you, Steo.
Yeah.
You were not at Harras, but you know many people who died at Harras.
Steo's going to look a little bit pale, I think.
I don't know how much you know, but the Battle of Harras resulted in great casualties on both sides, largely due to the actions of Artel the Vile. He took it upon himself to perform a ceremony for the purpose of reducing the enemy's forces before the battle had even begun. Ceremonial magic is powerful, dangerous. It is one is not permitted to perform it anymore, either within the Ordo or without it, according to the Ordo's laws and the laws of the Queen. This ceremony that Artel carried out called down a swarm of rocks from the sky, much larger than those that hit the cathedral. The enemy was decimated, but the Ambrian army suffered greatly as well. Many Ambrians were killed. There are wilder tales that claim that magic caused an epidemic of severe blight among the people in General Herengol's army camp. Harras was a trading city, flourishing even in those last days of the war. It was completely wiped out, and the remains are known as black harass. They are dangerous, even for Alberator. Artel was sentenced to death for this, despite the fact that he crushed many high-ranking Dark Lords and a large amount of their undead forces. It is honestly common knowledge among the Order Magica. It is the oft-told tale of why we should not be permitted to carry out ceremonies.
So, Artel was executed,
That's correct.
and Saldonio believes that Artel is somehow responsible for this, and that is somehow connected to revenge.
I cannot answer for that. Saldonio was certainly one of the individuals who condemned Artel. Perhaps he saw the results of what seemed to be a similar ceremony and connected the two. Perhaps he knew information I didn't have, and admit me for saying this, I respected Saldonio greatly, but perhaps it was the supposition of a dying man in pain.
I suppose we won't ever know those things for certain. I can see even on the face of it why he might make the connection, and who knows what else he knew.
Artel's name has been spoken of multiple times in the halls of the Triple Towers in the last 2 days.
Is that more than usual, or is this just a cautionary tale for mages?
People are speculating that this was ceremonial magic, and when ceremonial magic is spoken of, Artel's name comes forward.
My understanding is that this would be impossible without ceremonial magic, that you need several powerful wizards.
You would need to carry out a ceremony of this nature. You would need a number of individuals, some of them potent in the mystic arts. You may need others of them to help fuel it, preferably not in a fatal fashion. I am no expert on this. I have not been taught it for reasons I have already shared with you.
This would seem like an extraordinarily difficult thing to keep secret, at least if it's happening from within Ambria.
A ceremony carried out of this scale would inflict considerable change and likely unwanted side effects in the place in which it was worked, as well as in the target area. Perhaps those were one and the same. Maybe that can account for the fire spirits I have heard tell of. One might expect that simply from the results of the ceremony itself, to be honest. I don't know.
So it's possible that the ceremony was performed here.
At the cathedral?
At the cathedral.
Maybe. I realize that this may sound ridiculous. If it were, I might expect the results to be more cataclysmic.
Some kind of precision strike that leveled one of the largest buildings in the
Also,
kingdom.
If I were calling down, I would not be stood there. All I am saying.
We've accounted for all the bodies. No,
I mean,
was...
I wouldn't want to be standing where the ceremony was worked either. If anything, that place could be worse.
So we could find that if we had enough time. But time, unfortunately, is not on our side.
I'm sorry, I can't give you more information. I might know someone who could.
I think we'd like to have that conversation if it's at all possible. I think you can glean what's at stake here.
There is a wizard in the towers. He previously held the title of ceremony master. It is now ritual master.
Do you think you could swing a meeting?
Yes, I think so.
I have to imagine if his former position has been disgraced somewhat, then he might not be in the running for too much politicking, which would hopefully mean he survives for us to meet him.
Favano certainly has no interest in becoming Grandmaster. It may take me some time. Where are you staying?
We're at the tower, the top of it.
Prius.
That's
All right.
a long story in and of itself. Someone else is paying.
All right. Well, then I will. Are you staying there under your actual names? I assume so.
Yes.
I will either come see you one evening or I will send word to you when I have heard from the ritual master on whether they agree to a meeting or what have you.
Thank you. There was one more thing. We looked through the bodies that were in the cathedral, and we found a couple of them were wearing Ordo robes, but were wearing symbols of House Viara underneath.
Is that accurate?
I thought it was.
I think House Viara was stamped on the instructions that they were given.
Was that it?
Yeah. There was an individual in the cathedral with... There was an individual in the cathedral with a knife with the
That's
symbol
right.
House
He was
Viara on it as well.
Yeah, there was a Theurg, but I thought there were also some.
There was a Theurg in the cathedral. She had a knife with the symbol of House Viara on her, but we were also a bit suspicious of the circumstances of her body and suspect it may have been moved and tampered with after she died. And then there were two Ordo mages, or seemed to be Ordo mages, outside the cathedral who had been killed by Fireborn.
That's right. But yes, so they were like House Viara livery, but with Ordo symbols.
No, again, it was there was no House Viara symbols on them. They had a paper with instructions, and the paper had the House Viara watermark on it.
Right. Yes. Sorry, got confused there.
No one had House Viara livery or like anything like that.
But they had the House Viara like marked instructions, which is the clues that we've been following
to the location of the prisoner. Yeah,
because
their instructions were get the prisoner and bring him out and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Their instructions we found on the letter was also plant and cover tracks, which might be why the Viara dagger and some gold coins were found on miscellaneous acolyte number 3 or whatever.
Okay.
Although interesting that if that was the plan, then the planted and covered tracks would lead to the same House Viara.
Yeah. I suppose. Okay, so then I suppose what I would like try to explain to Gandaral is like some of these clues that we've been following in order to try to find the location of this prisoner and some of the people behind it were found on people outside the cathedral with Ordo symbols. Has the Ordo Magica got a good sense of which members were in the cathedral and which of those are dead?
I believe only Grandmaster Saldonia was scheduled to be there, and he died. It's worth noting again that these Ordo they weren't found in the cathedral; they were found outside the cathedral.
Yeah. But to your knowledge, outside of Saldonia, there are no other members of the Ordo that you were expected to report in and haven't.
The Ordo in Indaros has hundreds of individuals. I cannot say for certain, but I've heard no one speak of anyone but Saldonia as of the Order who was killed at the Cathedral of Martyrs.
Could you ask around and see?
I can ask.
Thank you. It may well be that the symbols were planted on them. It may well be that they intercepted these messages. We don't know why they were there with those things, but it would be good to put those puzzle pieces together as well as everything else.
I will attempt, but my information gathering may be defensive in nature at the moment.
I understand it's chaotic in there.
To be sure. All right, my friends, I will leave you to your investigations then, and I will try to get in contact with you when Master Cardell. Well, when I can.
Thank you,
Stay
Gandalf.
safe, yeah.
Oh, I will. I keep my head firmly below the parapet.
It's good to see you, despite the circumstances.
And all of you.
Why do
Well-
we always say that now? Is that 3 times?
Are Ascarai and Father Anton also keeping well?
Yes.
Good. Good. Have a good day. He stands up and sort of scurries out of the folly back towards the Triple Towers.
Prius's teats, what a mess. So that was next to worthless.
Academia sounds very dangerous as a career.
It's not that far removed from politics, is it? That sounds like that might turn up something useful, but probably not on the kind of time scale that we were hoping. Right?
Well, let's see what options we have. I really don't want to storm this place unless we know what we're walking into.
Okay, and on that note, let's hop back north a bit. And Ascarai, go ahead and give me a vigilant roll.
Okay,
We'll see how your scouting goes.
that is a pass for Ascarai. A pass for Anton too.
Awesome. And as Ascarai, can you, well, both of you, can you both give me cunning rolls as well? I just want to kind of factor in some of the stuff.
No, that's a fail for Ascarai. But a pass for Anton.
Okay. So here's more information for you. You found the entrance on the other street over, almost identical down to the 2 dwarven guards outside it.
Okay.
You found a place where there is a wooden ladder that's run down the side of the building for you to access the roof. It is out of the sight of either of the guard doors. Let me think about, is there any other real information? Like, all you can remember is what the Patriarch told you, which is there is at least one shaft that leads down to kind of the underpass from the roof. He also told you that the roof would be guarded. I believe he said that there. Did he give you numbers?
I think he just said that the entrances would be guarded, the roof probably guarded also.
Yeah.
But didn't say numbers.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, other than that, I mean, the streets are quite busy streets. You don't seem to have drawn the gaze of the dwarf guards. Do you think you will have quite a bit of time before the others arrive? Do you think you do any more direct investigations, like try and climb up to that roof or something like that before they arrive? Are you going to wait for them?
I think Steer's last words to Ascarai were, if you get a chance to go up on the roof, go for it.
He did say that.
Based on that, probably yes. Maybe get Anton to, if there's a spot that you could sit,
he could stand nearby and
just kind of vaguely guard around while Ascarai goes up. That might be the plan.
Yeah, absolutely. He will, in fact, stand on. You know what? I'll give you his cunning roll here. He stands at the street corner, relatively nearby the ladder, and it's still very out of sight of the 2 kind of the dwarf guards. And he will start loudly offering kind of blessings. You know, he's offering people. Who said eggs in this trying time? He's offering people kind of blessings in these dark days, and quite loudly. Like Theurgs do this now and then. That the kind of public, he's not preaching in any way, so he's not kind of like preaching. Inevitably brings politics into it, but he's just kind of offering blessings, and a few people are stopping and like taking him up on it, and kind of Theurgs, I think, as we've said before, in the Sun Temple are as much like kind of confessors and almost like a mixture of like social workers and psychologists for a lot of people in like the service they provide of talking through their problems and things like that. So and he's doing that quite loudly, and it's quite an attention grabbing thing. So that should help you.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
So are you gonna scale this ladder?
Yes, I'm going to try to scale the ladder.
Boldly, like you're meant to be there, or slowly and cautiously?
I'd like to think boldly, as in I'm not like trying to. Well, no, actually, probably slowly and cautiously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to fall off the ladder.
You don't look
and
much
also
like
probably,
a city worker, so
yeah. But I was thinking I could shapeshift to look like a dwarf, but then I don't know how easily I'd be able to climb up this ladder. Presumably, it's like human-sized rungs.
No, dwarves are compact. No, dwarves could definitely climb it.
Okay. In that case, I will try to shapeshift to look like a dwarf.
Yeah.
I need to roll resolute, which is not the best, but possible. That's a 1, so successful.
You have shapeshifted into a very convincing dwarf. I take it we're shedding the cloak.
Yeah, sure.
That would not be a convincing. That would be fairly obvious. Yeah, you have made yourself into a fairly convincing dwarf. You made yourself, I'd assume, look quite like the guards, not like a specific, but like dressed in a similar fashion. And yeah, absolutely. Then your form blurs. No one sees you do it. Probably stand behind a pillar or something. And yeah. Okay, you scale that ladder then, and can you give me a discreet roll, please? And from a combination of Anton and your actions, I'm going to give you a +3 on it.
Okay, I need a 16 or less. That's a 19, but with no one else around, I might re-roll it for an XP.
Sure. I like the implication there that if other people were around, it would be too embarrassing to re-roll.
More that we could just like fight people, but if it's me and Anton, I don't fancy our odds against these dwarf guards.
Yeah, sure.
That's a 20.
Shit. Are you going to re-roll again?
Can you double? If you can double re-roll, I'll re-roll again.
I think we can, can't we? I don't think there's any limit on it, is there?
I don't think we put a limit on it.
I don't think so.
In that case, yes, I will re-roll again. But this is my last time. That's a 1 now, so
okay.
Fantastic.
There we go. You emerge onto the roof. It's very large. It's mostly featureless. You can see maybe a couple of skylights kind of scattered around the building. As I say, it's quite a fancy building. It's got like sort of low stone fencing's the wrong word, kind of ramparts in a way around the outside of it so people don't fall off easily. The main things you can see is that dead ahead of you, around the center of the row of buildings, there are 3 what look like openings to shafts, like courtyards that run, if the Patriarch is to be believed, all the way down to the underpass. 2 of them, the one on the north and the one on the south, both have kind of like boards fixed over them, right? Long stretches of wooden boards fixed over them, so they're shut off. The one in the middle, nothing like that. It looks open to the sky. There is ahead of you a number of crates, like just stacked together on the roof. On those crates sat slumped to one side against another crate and snoring relatively loudly is a dwarf dressed identically to the dwarf guards below. That's what a 1 gets you. And they're the
Okay.
only visible guard.
I'd like to try and sneak over and have a look down this open courtyard shaft.
Sure. Yeah, I think you can do that while they're snoozing. So basically, you walk over. It's not a short distance, you know. It's quite a bright day still in the evening. You walk over and see below you. I do have I don't have a diagram I'm showing you, but I have a diagram to look at myself to make sure I get it right. The opening and the courtyard below it's not square, it's kind of rectangular, like it's wider east-west. It is quite a way down, as the Patriarch said. It's a 3-story tall building, and then this is the underpass leading down to the underpass. So it's 4 stories straight down, and there's no guardrail or anything around it, so you have to be a bit cautious while you're leaning over the side. Down below there, you see that there is a courtyard with a wide exit to the north and to the south. Looks like they lead to the other courtyards that are boarded up, or the shafts that are boarded up. If you had to guess, you'd say it's probably a series of courtyards with passageways between them. On the side nearest to you, there is also a set of stairs going down at the bottom. So down presumably to perhaps like a sub-basement type area. And you also, on the far side from you, on the kind of western side, you can see that handily, about 2 floors down, there's a large semicircular balcony, which the sneaky rogue in you tells you would be make it a much easier way to get down to the bottom, because there is no ladder leading down.
So,
but with a length of rope, which you all tend to carry in your adventuring packs, or at least we'll be back at the tower if you don't have them here, you think you could get everyone down there. How long are you going to stay? Are you nipping over and looking at this information quickly, or are you watching for a bit?
I'll watch for like 15 minutes.
Absolutely. The snoring behind you remains as is for the moment. On 2 separate occasions, you see a group of 2 dwarf guards walk across the courtyard below you.
Okay. Just going from like one side to the other side, north to south, or south to north?
And on one occasion, they stop and kind of like sit in the courtyard below you for a few minutes. Could you roll Vigilant -2, please?
Okay. That is a 4. Makes it.
The 2 times you saw them were different guards. So there's at least 4 guards down there patrolling.
Okay. Okay. Now
I have been on the roof here with a dozing guard for quite a while, and presumably they're only going to doze for so long.
I will probably, like, not knowing how long the others are going to be, I don't want to do anything to this guard, so I'm going to try and sneak down.
Okay.
Again, for now.
Okay. Can you give me a discreet roll at +5, please?
Okay. Yeah, that's a 6.
Okay. Yeah, you sneak past him and you climb down perfectly fine. Anton is wrapping up his business. And just to make things easy, even though it's distorting the time a little bit probably, as you climb down, the others are approaching Anton, because I'm assuming they haven't been anywhere else. So I'll let you guys make your schemes and catch up on your things.
Prios's blessings to you, Father.
And to you, my son. Anton looks around and then leans forward and says, Any luck?
We met Ganderald. He had some information for us. I don't know how much of it is useful right now. I think he's gonna try and meet us at the tower later on. Perhaps put us in touch with some higher up people. It sounds like it's chaos in there.
Yeah, we knew that was going to happen, didn't we?
Apparently,
Has Ascry come down at this stage, or are you still descending? I'd say you're down.
Yeah, I guess I'm walking over. How's it going? Good blessings.
Very very productive. Shall we go sit and get some food at that stall over there, and perhaps we can discuss our next steps?
Sounds good.
Yeah, let's do it. Someone else is buying. I bought a round earlier.
There is a stall selling. What do we think? We're going on to street food again. What do we think a stall in Inderos might be selling? Let's say they're selling toffee apples and similarly kind of glazed apples and other fruits, right? Kind of like a sweet. It doesn't have a chocolate fountain, but like that kind of thing, like dipped fruits, right? And iced fruits as well. It has iced strawberries and iced raspberries and toffee apples and things like that.
Let's go get a bunch in. So, I gather not too much of the tower, sounds like.
Not anything that's going to be useful to us, assuming that we're going in today. Are we going in today?
Well, I got up on the roof. There's a guard up there, but they're asleep. I mean, maybe not now, but they were. There's 2 guards on both the entrances and at least 4 guards inside. I don't know if that's normal for this kind of place or if that is because there's something going on.
Key question, though, are they dwarves or?
All dwarves that I've seen.
Oh, that's not great. We want to cause. I think the assumption was that we're going to want to avoid as much bloodshed as possible in this operation.
Can everyone? Well, I want to hear what John has to say on that.
I got the impression from the Patriarch that he intended the opposite. Not intended. He seemed fully accepting and somewhat enthusiastic of the understanding that those we pursue may fall in battle. Let's put it that way.
I'm happy. I won't make you make a cunning roll for Aaron because you seem to have reached a similar conclusion. If anything, the Patriarch seemed to be subtly signaling to you in a kind of, I'm not saying it, but I would be fine with you killing. He seemed to be fine with you killing these dwarves. Because he was like, hey, you got to do what you got to do. And when you were like, oh, we'll try not to, he was like, you got to do what you got to do. It's fine. Certainly, he didn't want you to not kill them on his account. Certainly,
I wasn't sure whether my argument of this may cause trouble for dwarves as a majority maybe was accurate.
He didn't seem to care too much about that. If you had to guess,
I think it's reasonable that Aaron would try to spin it as having interpreted it that way, though, right?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah.
You know what? I will ask Aaron to make a cunning roll because he's the closest, and I'll give Aaron a +2 because John has put some good thought into it. See how generous I am.
Unfortunately, that is a 15 over 9, so not quite enough thought.
Still, I would say none of you are probably particularly at odds with Aaron's thinking on it. If you were, I don't know. Part of that depends on my acting, obviously, but like the Patriarch seemed to be perfectly fine with these dwarves dying.
So we don't know how long we've got.
Then we've got to try and get in there today.
Okay.
How we
Well,
go
if
about
gotta
that?
Try and get in there today, and if the guard's asleep, then really we got to try and get in there now.
Yeah.
We're going
Maybe
to
we-
need to incapacitate them.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on there 15 minutes. They didn't wake up. Hopefully they're still asleep, and maybe we can just like tie them up or something while they're asleep. And not while they're asleep, but like, avoid killing them. And there's a way. It's not an easy climb down, but we've got a bit of rope. I think for Aaron it'll be easy. Maybe he can help us.
I
Okay.
can't think of a reason to not go right now.
Yeah, time's up.
So, are we kind of sending an advance party up to deal with this guard first, or are we just all going up the ladder?
I'd suggest that Aaron and Ascarai make the ascent. I don't particularly want to be maneuvering heavy armor around on a roof I haven't personally inspected.
Okay. All right. Then I'm going to need a discreet roll from Ascarai and Arendar. I only need one of them to succeed because I am a generous overlord. And I will give Ascarai a... Are you still shapeshifted as a dwarf, or have you changed away from that? How long can you hold that?
I think it lasts a scene.
Okay, I'd say that's past then. So, are you shapeshifting again?
I guess I'll try. I'm trying.
Yeah, give it a go.
That is a fail.
Okay. Yeah, you don't manage to hold the form again. I can imagine doing it twice to like in close proximity. Yeah. I'm going to use that as a thing of it. It's just,
harder.
Yeah.
It's the one thing Ascarai's bad at.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. It happens to everyone.
I have succeeded the discreet roll.
Okay. How do you do, Ascarai? Oh, I didn't give you a plus. I think I was. If you don't shapeshift, I'm just going to give you a +2 because you've already been up it once.
Yeah, Ascarai succeeded. He rolled a 5.
Okay. You're going to emerge onto the roof. The guard is definitely no longer asleep, but he is sat on the same crate and facing away from you. He's about 10 feet in front of you.
Ascarai will like mouth shit at Aaron that the guard is now awake.
I will take out my rope, hand one half to Ascarai, and just kind of like
Ascarai shrugs in agreement at this slightly optimistic plan.
I mean, man needs to be clued in on this plan because I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I think the idea is we're going to sneak up behind him and just like throw the rope, like yank him with the rope into a tie.
What?
You're going to chuck a rope over him.
You're going to chuck a rope over him and yank him into a tie.
Yeah.
I might need that sentence in English.
We're going to... No, I have no version of explanation that doesn't involve the word yoink. Sam, you seem to understand what I was
yank him
at.
into it. It's mainly a yank him into a tie that I'm unsure about what that means.
You want to pull him backwards with the rope.
Pull him off balance. Pull him off balance with the rope, and then...
Oh, it's gone full Scooby-Doo.
We're going to try and tie him.
Please anticipate that if you do this, you're going to be hit heavily with my Matt is a simulationist like GM, and will give you penalties based on your wacky schemes rather than like you're going to flip a rope over the top of him and pull it backwards rather than just grabbing him and pulling him backwards.
It's effectively grabbing him with the rope. It doesn't matter.
You're lassoing him with no lasso skills, is what you're saying.
No, okay. I don't. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Maybe the solution is to like threaten him in a like come up next to him with a knife to his
Look,
throat or something
yeah,
like that, and be like,
threaten him, stab him, get him in a chokehold,
Put
hit him
a
on the back of
fucking
his
arrow
head,
in him.
put an arrow in the back of his head, kick him. All I'm saying is, I don't think you need to do a kind of like skipping accident with him.
Sure.
not the
But if
rope.
you want to do this, I'll absolutely go ahead. But I will be giving you penalties for like trying to like do some weird double roping of him.
My
seems
my
odd.
argument is that it's no. My problem is with the explanation of the thing, I think,
Okay.
rather than the wackiness of
Maybe.
the thing.
Maybe. In my head, it was you holding one end of the rope, Askarai holding the other end of the rope, and you like flip it over him and then pull him backwards. Is that accurate?
I think that was vaguely the idea, and then like tie him to whatever he's leaning against.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I think maybe we can do
you
that.
can do that if you want, and the consequences will happen.
No, no. I can read the narrative.
I think. I mean, the traditional thing, what I've seen from films at this point, is kind of hand over the mouth, knife at the throat, and kind of take it from there.
Or just knife in the throat.
Why are we not killing? Didn't we just have a big discussion about how we're absolutely okay to kill him?
I think we're okay, but like we can probably avoid killing this person.
I've seen that multiple comments have popped up already, and I'm dreading looking at them because it'll just be people backing up you and criticizing me for not allowing my players to do their weird D&D plan. 42 has said, as a dwarf, it's easy to toss the rope over his head. That's certainly okay. I'm immediately starring one of Steve's ones for later. In fact, both of Steve's ones. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Look. Do what you want to do if you want to do it. Or something else.
Maybe we revise our plan to be threaten the dwarf at bow and or knife point, then tie him up.
I'm not commenting on it, which should let you know what I think of it.
Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's doing what in this elaborate scheme?
I'm holding the rope.
You definitely are holding the rope.
Okay, Askra will go with his knife out and attempt to get like onto the dwarf, knife like here.
Sure, yeah.
We're gonna kill you if you don't let us tie you up.
I would like you to make a discreet roll, but you can take another +2 to it.
Okay. That is a 14, which just passes.
Okay, you get up to him, and are you like kind of placing the knife at his throat?
Yes, exactly.
Like he starts to move as you do so, although as he feels the sharpness, the movement kind of gets slower. But he's definitely kind of opening his mouth and kind of like trying to like not get away from you, but trying to like adjust himself. What are you saying? Because you said you were going to say something.
Pascal will say, "Stop. Be quiet." And if he continues to move, we'll just stab him.
Okay. Give me a. Ooh, this is interesting. Give me a persuasive roll. And now I'm going to give you a +5 for having a knife at his throat. I'm also going to put his resolute into the equation.
Okay.
And his okay. Right, you get a +2 to your persuasive.
It's not looking good for this dwarf, fortunately. My persuasive is 5. I need a 7 or less. Oh, that's an 11. So
Okay.
no.
Then can you... This is the thing. This isn't combat. You're there with a knife to his throat. I'm going to ask you to roll your quick And I'm going to ask you to roll it again. You've got your knife to his throat. You've got him literally on the drawer, as it were. I would like you to roll quick at a +4.
Okay. I think I will need a 14 or less. That is a 14.
Okay. He kind of immediately kind of goes more rigid, and you can feel his hands like grasping around your arm, shockingly tight, shockingly quickly. Kind of really you can feel him twisting your arm as if your wrist is about to snap, and in reflex you like press against him and pull your arm towards yourself as hard as you can. It slips into the flesh of his throat, and in an instant your hand is awash with a flood of warm blood that kind of sprays out over the rooftop, over your hand. He lets out a soft gurgle and falls first into unconsciousness and then into death, cradled against you.
Well, fuck. Sorry, Aaron.
It probably wouldn't have gone any better.
I mean, legitimately, maybe the rope would have worked.
Oh, well. If you go, maybe go get the others up. I'll check if he's got anything that might be helpful.
I'll wave over the edge.
Okay. There is what's on him? Oh, absolutely nothing.
Be climbing up.
Okay. You all reach the top. There is a lot of blood and a dead dwarf.
Huh. You didn't throw a rope over him? Okay, well, never mind. So long as he was quiet.
Couldn't be avoided, unfortunately.
Do you need a roll from me as well, or can I just get up? It's a ladder.
No. You can get up. It's fine.
Thank God. I'm not very good at getting up ladders or down
Well,
drops.
the discreet was just to not avoid alerting the dwarf, but now he's dead. So
He's dead. All right. What's going on here then? Oh, all his jams come out.
Yeah, it didn't go quite as planned. But anyway,
Okay.
we haven't alerted anyone else.
Okay, what's next, Askrai? You've got the lay of the land.
There are guards who occasionally, every 5 to 10 minutes, patrol down below. But there's sort of a way down on the far side using a balcony. We'll probably need some rope as well.
definitely got some of that. Yeah, I'm assuming that at least. Well, Aaron said you had a rope, so I'm assuming you brought your adventuring pack with you. So.
Okay, let's rig up for a descent.
Yeah, you can get over to the shaft, and yeah, you'll have to find a place to fix. I think you've got at least one of you has a grappling hook. You definitely had one in Fria Ligan, so you can definitely fix that to the side of the shaft, and it's not a long climb down to that balcony, and then from there it's not a huge climb down to the bottom of the underpass. So I take it we're doing that.
Yeah, I'd say maybe wait for a patrol to go past before going down to the balcony, and then wait on the balcony for the next patrol.
This guy's broken and entered before.
I know.
Yeah. So I'm not going to ask you for. We can wait until the next patrol goes past, and then clamber down. It's still broad daylight, obviously, but there's no buildings as tall as you nearby you, or there are very few of them, and people aren't on the top of them. So but it is obviously a bit. If someone could see you, they'd see everything you're doing because, I guess the sky's darkening slightly, but not like massively. So it's probably maybe 5 or 6 in the evening. I'm not going to ask you for rolls on whether you can climb down, but I am going to ask you for a set of quick rolls. I would like a quick roll from everyone, and all I'm asking for, and that is so we'll need NPCs as well. I would like at least half of you to succeed. That's what I'm asking for. So that's a yes from Stio.
Elindra and Revelia both make it.
Okay, so there we go. Let's see how we do with the rest of everyone.
I rolled a 20.
Okay.
Does that jeopardize everyone?
Depends how the others do. Askarai and Anton, how did you do?
Askrai fails, but Anton passes.
Okay, I think that's fine. I think you can select one of them, Arindar, but that's still half of people who've made it. So you all managed to shimmy down the road. The slower ones of you are helped down by the others, and now you're on the balcony. Okay. Now, incidentally, I'll give a brief description because I'm hurrying through things quite a lot here. It's a semicircular stone balcony. There is a door, kind of a wooden door with a glass pane in it, like a misted glass pane that's just leading through somewhere. At the briefest of glances, you can see like an oil lamp burning inside, and what looks to be through the like frosted pane, it looks to be maybe a dining room or something, like a normal apartment thing, as many of the chambers in this seem to be when you observe from the outside. I take it we are throwing another length of rope down to the bottom of the underpass and trying to get down there as quickly as possible. Okay.
After the next
patrol. Oh, so you're banking them on them not seeing the rope down to the balcony.
That's the problem. Or do we go right away? I'll kind of in whispered voices go, stay or go.
What is this drop from the balcony to the floor? What is the drop like?
Two stories.
I think we should just kind of drop, because otherwise we're going to be leaving a rope that we have no way to like get rid of, and someone will be alerted in 5 minutes time.
Somewhere between 16 and 20 feet, that distance.
Don't we need to leave the rope we just came down in order to get back out again?
If you're coming out this way, then yeah.
The other ways out are through those guarded gates. I think we need to leave the rope. I think people don't look up very often.
Dogs can't.
We don't know whether dwarves can.
If there's a rope that goes from this balcony down into this courtyard, it will be seen within 10 minutes.
Do you think we can grapple back up from here if we take the rope down?
Possibly.
What if someone stayed here, pulled the rope up behind everyone else, and then dropped it?
Say an NPC-shaped person.
Like a priest.
A priest or a squire.
Yeah.
I think those are the two character classes that could do this.
A squire who's not in great shape anyway.
Yeah.
There we go.
Revelia's guarding the roof.
Okay, so you quickly go down again, and then Revelia pulls up the rope, so there's just the one up to the top. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds like a great plan. So, in that case, I would like everyone who is shimmying down from this point to roll quick at minus... You had a bit of a chat there as well. Quick at -2. And I need, again, a majority of people. Well, this time it's a majority, not half, because there's 5 of you.
I'm just going to check the tapes here and make sure I did roll that twice, because that's the same number twice. I did. It's two 5s in a row.
So how did Anton do, Sam?
Anton failed and Askrai failed.
Okay.
And Elindra.
And Elindra and Aaron. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless we're all spending XP.
I mean, you can if you want. We need 2 more successes. I don't want infinite this to happen across the board, but if 2 of you wanted to spend XP and reroll and bank on getting 2 successes, I'm happy to do that.
I was willing to spend an XP.
Anyone else?
Yeah, right. Okay.
Okay.
Askarai's already had a pricey night, I think.
Yeah. So Arendar and Elindra are spending 1 XP, and if either of them fail, it's all for naught.
Yeah, no, succeed.
Succeed.
Oh, look at that. Okay. After a little bit of worry, particularly like Askarai and Anton, not be bizarrely Askarai. Basically, Anton struggles and Askarai has to stay and help him down on the rope. You all kind of like hit the floor of the underpass. You can't see any patrol coming. Now you can see those like passageways to either side, presumably running to the other courtyards. You can see a set of stairs going down. Where are we quickly scrambling to as the stream comes to a close? One of the other shafts or the stairs? It seems like a...
I think the stairs.
Yeah?
Sure.
If I was hiding a very secret prisoner, I'd do it underground.
That seems like a fair enough thing. Then we will leave the stream as you drop from the rope, Revelia kind of like tugging it back up, and all 5 of you dash down those stairs leading into the sub-basement of the plob. Or perhaps down below is the plob. It's uncertain. You're plob bound, whatever it is. There we go. That's the end of our session for tonight. Thank you to viewers. Thank you to players, as always. We've got links below. Go check them out if you're interested in that kind of thing. Is Call of Cthulhu on next Monday again? I think it's due on, right?
Next Monday, yes.
Yes.
I think we've got 2 more weeks on and then a guaranteed amount of weeks off.
Okay, fair enough.
But the next 2 weeks are on.
Great. So Call of Cthulhu, Massive Nyarlathotep is on Mondays. Check that out if you're interested. I'm hoping to get Yellow King back off the ground next week. We will see how that happens. Long-time viewers will know that it's both awesome and a bastard to prep for. So we will see how that happens. I have no plans for Symbaroum to not be on next week currently, but maybe that changes if Yellow King... Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. There we go. All right. Can we have lovely comments and questions and stuff up on screen, please? Also, thank you. There's been a bunch of resubs and follows, and I don't know which ones of these have been read out. If they have, then you're just getting it again. ColarX7 and Lonica, thank you for your follows. And Johnny and Steve, thanks you for your resubscribes. Let's go. What we got? Ranadandra. In a week, he, being the Patriarch, is going to ask you to assassinate the Queen. Rana, I didn't know you'd read Darkest Star.
All the books.
Yeah. Seems likely. Next. He's just in a parasocial relationship with a public figure. We've all been there. Absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking from experience there.
Yeah, when I was 12, I was pretty sure I was going to marry Courtney Cox. So we've all been there. Sam, of course you were there. There was a hole in the ground. You know what? I'll immediately switch to this one from 42. Does a plob count as a hole?
For the purposes of what?
Us being the heroes of it.
Yeah. Can I just say, we discussed last time how plob is a funny word. And all I've had in my head every time I've said plob, and this will only mean anything to people of a certain age who grew up in the country I grew up in, and Stephen already knows where this is going. Immediately, when I hear plob, I just hear pob. That's all I hear is pob. And if people out there are like, "What the fuck are you talking about, Matt?" Just search engine pob, right? And it'll probably bring up pob.
It was nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
It was a kind of imagine. See, again, it's like country specific cultural references. If you can imagine the politician Michael Gove, but in sort of puppet form.
Yeah. Yeah. Look.
Sounds bad.
We should hang on.
Like, it really is.
Bring up the next thing, John. But as you do so, I will attempt to bring up I'll attempt to bring up a picture of Pob.
Who said Audio Magica? Because that was pretty good.
Me. It's just still recovering from my Gandalf slip up.
Yeah.
I refer to them accidentally as the Audio Magica.
Do we want to address the continuity error in that? Oh my god! Oh, I am aware of this. It's Michael Gove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally echoing what Stephen just said.
Yeah. Got
This
it.
is
That's
definitely a
Pob.
part of my memory that I'd suppressed at some point.
Yeah, but there we go. That's all I think of anytime I hear Plob. I'm just like,
Make it go away, Matt. I can't. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair.
Thanks.
Audio Magica, Inderos' #1 radio station. Excellent. Next.
Oh. John was gonna point out a continuity error.
Oh, go on.
Yeah.
Which was that I wasn't there. Alindra wasn't there with Saldonio. Alindra was unconscious and bleeding to death at the time.
But
yes, it
let's-
was Ascarai with Saldonio, yeah.
No, it was Aaron.
It was Aaron,
Saldonio.
I think.
Was it? Oh, shit, okay.
But Aaron has filed that away as Alindra has obviously sustained some sort of head trauma and has taken on a false memory. I don't know what to do about this medically. Let's just go with it.
Also, in fairness, we are spreading the labor of having to have complex conversations with NPCs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's not aggravate someone with a head injury by telling them that they're lying, you know? Let's yeah.
It's been a weird day or two, you know.
Steve says, creep up to him, wake him up with a knife at his throat, and say, "We've got a rope." Good stuff. Maybe we should head off on this because I have a feeling that John is now planning my murder after having shat on his plan from such a great height.
And we know how he's going to do it. With a
Oh,
friend
oh,
and a
Oh, in,
rope
in that case, I'm fine.
and a tag team wrestling move.
I'm sorry. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, the plan that we went with wasn't great. So
Let's move on. It certainly didn't work out the way you wanted.
I'm going to put this one up, though.
Tie one end of rope to Dwarf's foot, tie the other end to a giant anvil bought from Acme. Yeah.
It happens to be in the adventuring pack, just right next to the infinite rope supply. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we really wanted to cause a scene, we could have also just shoved him into the plob.
Yeah.
it crossed my mind.
Oh,
And then
John
just
had,
golden-eyed in after him.
John has pointed this out that I literally have already said this on the Discord. Weren't we thinking of going fortnightly with Symbaroum for a while? We were, and for some reason, even though I'm the one who's pushed for that, that is into my head. So we will not be on with Symbaroum next week. The hope is that that gives me a chance to get Yellow King off the ground. Okay, so we'll probably have, the very likelihood is we will have Yellow King next week and not Symbaroum. There's a small chance that I can't get Yellow King off the ground. And if that's the case, assuming the players haven't made alternate plans, we will do Symbaroum instead. But the intended thing is we will have Yellow King next week, not Symbaroum. But if not, we may have Symbaroum and not Yellow King. Okay, does that work for that? That's the thing, right?
That makes sense.
Thank you, John, for reminding me of that. Your plans are great. Now, let's move on.
I think we've technically already had this one.
As a dwarf, it's easy to toss the rope over his head. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Too.
And then
Oh my god.
They got the dwarf kill pass.
Yep, but we still figure out a way to do it in the most Scooby-Doo way possible.
Yeah.
oh, and of course I do have to raise this to our previous conversation. Yes. Those are the only types of British TV shows.
Yeah.
I don't think we had normal British TV shows, like children's shows.
That's why we're all fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
You grow up normal after Family Ness. You do that.
Can't be done. It's not possible.
No, I think Chucklevision may have permanently ruined a generation, but not in a way I find unappealing, because I am that generation.
It definitely ruins the way I maneuver large objects with
Yes.
friends.
Yeah.
Hey, this is
Everyone,
just in-joke central for the flipping...
everyone not from this part of the world and places adjacent to this part of the world is listening to this going, what?
Well, look, if I
I
can drop...
I don't think Chucklevision have made it onto TikTok. That's all I'm saying.
I'll just go ahead and drop one country-specific obscure resource that no one's going to get, but Podge is indeed a bollocks.
Okay. Good.
Excellent.
Let's move on.
Yeah, it's not as fun when I don't get the references.
Rana, Chucklevision is goated. Oh, maybe they are on TikTok. Yeah.
I
All
think
right.
if they were on TikTok, they do really well.
Probably, yeah. All right then. So it's farewell for the evening from my lovely players. Thank you again for watching. It's farewell from Pob. Don't worry, you'll see him again tonight when you're asleep. I mean, he'll see you. You won't see him, to be fair. And on that note, thank you for watching, everyone. We'll be back next week, probably with Yellow King, maybe with Symbaroum. Who knows? Life is chaos. Take care, stay safe. Goodbye.